Alright Raiders, we're back in the world of Raiders of Blackveil, and today guys we're going to be talking a little bit about the recent update, the Ghoulag update that happened here on the 19th. This is a pretty massive update that has introduced a ton to the game. This includes a brand new region, the Ghoulag region, tons of new unique items and mystic gear, a completely new champion perk system, an expansion of the current perk system, and a plethora of new enemies to go along with that awesome new region. Essentially it is a massive addition to the game and it affects the game in a very significant way. I do want to start this video off by saying this video is sponsored by Wombo Games, the amazing creators behind Raiders of Blackveil, but I have been playing Raiders of Blackveil for the past like 3 weeks give or take, so I was actually pretty excited that they reached out and said, hey look, you want to do a video for the upcoming Ghoulag update. I was super stoked to do it. As someone who is a action RPG content creator who loves like making builds, extractions, and building really cool characters, this was right up my alley, so huge shout out to them. But I am super excited about this update. It has been phenomenal, but we're going to talk about it in just a moment, because first off we need to talk about what Raiders of Blackveil is, because that's important so you kind of understand what the update brings to the table. So to give you an idea of what the game is, it is an extraction PvE roguelike, and I'll kind of break it down how it works. The core idea behind how this works, you'll have the ability to select between 4 different characters: Draskull, Ironhorn, Beatrice, as well as your Mara. Each of these characters have their own individual like playstyle, talents, and abilities, but while they do have like a DPS playstyle or tank playstyle or whatever the case is, they can be tailored through the perk system that we're going to talk about in just a moment. So yes, they will have their own initial base flavor, but you'll be able to eventually tailor them to your individual playstyle, which is really cool. For example, my Ironhorn, he's very tanky, but I also made him something of a hybrid healer so that I can provide my team with really good healing buffs. And this goes for Beatrice, which is typically like a healer support. I play her a lot. She's like my main played character, but I actually make her as a pretty strong DPS that disables pretty well. The point is you have 4 really awesome characters, but they have their own individual playstyle that you can actually tailor to the perk system. So once you start a match, you'll be able to select between 3 different Blackveil sites. With this update, this introduced the Ghoulag location, and each of these individual locations will have their own unique items, unique enemies, bosses, and things like that you can eventually farm from them. Now for the most part I will be showing mostly the Ghoulag location, but I will show the other 2 locations just for a little bit of flavor so you guys can see a variety of you know what the game brings to the table. But regardless, you're going to go into the mission and you're going to basically go for the loot that you want. Now like a lot of extraction games, you have the ability to have a safe pocket and an inventory. You go in, you look for different loot, and then you try to extract that out. What this game does a little bit different, which makes it not as hardcore but actually really fun, is the equipment that is on your base character. No matter what, if you die or whatever the case is, that is always kept on you and you will extract with it, as well as your safe pocket. Now throughout the mission, that's where the roguelike elements of the game actually plays out. You'll have the ability to select between different types of room that bring different kind of values and benefits. So for example, you could pick a room that will give you a base stat. Say for example you want cooldown reduction or damage reduction, more attack speed, things like that. You can choose that room. Or you can go for a room that give you currency items that can be used for crafting and upgrading your character, or even go for things that give you power like perks. These perks are something that's going to really tailor your build, and this is where a lot of the build crafting comes into play. You'll have the ability to select between 8 different archetypes, if that makes sense, that have their own unique benefits. So for example, if you selected an assassin, they will have crit synergies, high damage synergies, and poison synergies. If you select for example the warlock, you'll get the ability to get curses, minions, and things of the sort. Mage will have like elemental synergies. Monk will have lightning synergies, attack speed, dodge synergies, punching. Priest will have heal synergies and boosting of barriers and blessings. So basically the idea here is depending on what type of archetype you want, you can actually tailor your character. Now this game does have a really awesome system where certain powers can connect to each other and give bonuses. I don't want to overdo it in this video because I'm just trying to give you a basic understanding, but long story short, certain bonuses will give you more stats as you rank them up, and then archetypes will combine with one another and give different bonuses and hybrid style of skills that you can select together to really tailor a build. So that's the base premise behind how your character is built. You get loot that will build your character, you find perks that will build your character, and then you make a really awesome character, fight bosses, extract out. That's kind of the core gameplay loop. There is meta progression. As I said a second ago, you can extract out currency items, and this can be used to unlock really awesome things like additional perks, additional levels. You have the ability to unlock a shop that have the ability to give you loot. You have stat upgrades that you can find on said loot, like Uber upgrades. Overall, there's a lot to the game that gives you tons of customization in and outside of the raids. So that's a core premise of how the game works. Now this leaves us with the Gulag update that happened here on the 19th. And again, wanted to give you a brief explanation of what changed and what has come with the update. So of course there is a new biome, we just talked about it and you've been seeing a lot of it, which is the Gulag. This introduced a ton of new enemies, new bosses, wardens, and like many other things. It basically adds another new flavor to the raid. And I will say personally, from playing the raid about 5 times at this point, I think it is by far the best, mainly because the balance feels good and the enemies feel extremely fair, which is really important in games like this when enemies feel fair. So big kudos to the team for that, but that's what's with this new update. In addition to this, we got new specific equipment. We talked about this a second ago, but there will be unique equipment tied to this region that you can use to tailor your gear. I didn't mention this when it comes to equipment, but there are different rarities of equipment: rare, normal, epic, legendary, as well as mystic gear. And with this update, there has been an introduction of a lot of new equipment, so that's a big expansion on the customization in this game. They also added something that I believe to be objectively the biggest W in this entire game, and that is they added the champion perk system as well as the perk system plus. The champion perk system basically makes it so that you can actually enhance abilities by choosing these like passive traits that actually morph your character in a really big way. So in the background, you probably see me playing a lot of Jamera right now. And one of the really unique perks that they added for her was to convert her ultimate from being a active recast, because naturally she would just slam into you and do a bunch of fire damage, resetting her cooldown and kind of snowballing by being able to reset over and over from getting kills, to a passive effect that made it so that it does like more and more damage based on the duration, giving you more of a playstyle where you could, in theory, if you want to hyper invest into left clicking a lot more, this is the kind of style you can play. And there was another trait expansion that made it so that whenever I use heating up, whenever I shoot with my left click out of it, it will split off into multiple fireballs, giving me more left click based damage. So with the update, what this essentially does is it makes it so these characters have their own unique playstyle and you can kind of tailor her. I can make her more of a melee character now. I can make her more castery. I have way more build customization for the character. And in addition to this, and I think you saw the menu a moment ago, they made it so the perk system is way more streamlined. One thing that the game actually struggled with, in my opinion, before was being able to get the perks that you need to actually start playing a build that you like. And with the recent update, this made it a little bit more streamlined. It doesn't make it like easy, but it does give you way more accessibility, and you have the ability to choose way more options so that you can actually make a more cohesive build. In addition to this, and while this may not be important to everyone, they actually did add the offline play option for players who don't have internet connection or maybe spotty internet. You can jump in and play offline. Overall, Raiders of Blackveil actually did introduce a lot of really cool things with the Gulag update. And just from a player perspective, not a content creator perspective, I did want to give my personal thoughts on it, who's been playing it for the past like 15 hours, because I do actually love the game. This has been objectively the best update for this game by far. The quality of life has been really good. Like the user interface got better, crafting got better, gear specific stuff got better, being able to tailor a build got better. You probably won't see this in like the advertisement for the game, but there has been a lot of quality of life improvement, user interface improvement. And one of the things I think a lot of people complained about, which I don't think I necessarily agree with, but there was like a lot of complaints about build diversity problems. And I think this solved it in 2 really big ways. First off, it streamlines what you want to be able to pick up because you get way more options, like I said, more accessibility. And with the change to the trait system where you can actually morph your character in a big way, builds change drastically. As I said a moment ago, Jamara has a much different playstyle. I went from being this hybrid caster to a very heavy focused left clicker, and there's so much more. Like I can transfer into a melee kind of character, I can make her a giga spellcaster, and that's like something that really has been improved with the Gulag update. With that said, I think that's pretty much everything you need to know about the Gulag update. If you have any comments, questions, or concerns, feel free to leave them down in the comments and I'll do my best to actually answer them. Keep in mind, I have been streaming this game for the last day or 2. I'll probably be streaming it later this afternoon or depending on when this video goes out. So if you want to come check out the stream live here on YouTube or on Twitch, I'll be answering questions while making some pretty awesome builds. A massive shout out once again to Wombo Games for sponsoring this video. It is really awesome I was able to get sponsored to play this game, but the Gulag update actually did bring a lot to the table. The new enemies, the new mystics, a lot of new bosses. Everything that I've seen so far of this update, 15 hours in, has been immaculate, and I'm just super happy I was able to jump in and play it. Down in the description, I will have a link to purchase the game if you want to help support the team, as well as get yourself a really solid game. There'll be a link in the description as well as the pinned comment. As always, guys, my name is Fervor. I do appreciate you stopping by, and I'll see you in the next Raiders of Blackveil video very soon.